happens when someone looks at us intensely? Have you ever felt eyes fixed on you on the other side of some room and you turn and see that they are actually staring at you? What happens when someone stares into your eyes as if they want to sweep the whole inside of you, to get, somehow into you? The intense look, especially of strangers, can make people feel extremely uncomfortable and turn their gaze elsewhere. This reaction to someone else's intense gaze indicates dominance that has for years been attributed to evolutionary characteristics. That is, to the way we react to threats as well as how we perceive our position with a social hierarchy. If someone looks down on us and we feel uncomfortable, we may feel that we are inferior to others in general. However, what happens if we feel stronger? Then will the sharp gaze of others that have the same effect on us? How uncomfortable will we feel at that moment? A team of researchers led by Mario Week of the Kent School of Psychology has investigated whether the sense of power changes people's responses to dominance displays, such as the intense gaze. In their first study, they used virtual reality, where 80 participants were asked to divide into 3 groups to approach and move closer to a virtual target. In the first test, the target looked like a robot, and in the second, it was a human. Wake and his colleagues found that participants who were rated as those with the greatest sense of power were much more likely to approach the goals of those who looked directly at them. What is the interesting thing here is that these differences were observed where the target had direct visual contact with the participants and resembled a human, indicating that social factors may enhance the effect of force. The important thing here is that the differences between the 3 groups occurred only when there was a direct eye contact and a strong look at the participants, strong gaze, a stare. In a second study, the same researchers wanted to enrich their results by adding some more experimental conditions. In addition to eye contact with participants, the target, robots and humans, also turned their gaze. They were also portrayed either as men or as women through various trials and differed in height, so that participants perceived themselves higher or lower than their targets. This time, 103 students took part in the survey. Of those who perceived the goals as shorter than they were more likely to approach them, even if the goals persisted in their gaze. The gender of the target had no effect on whether they approached or not. Wake and his colleagues explained that height is another indicator of status, with the shortest goals being perceived as less threatening and perhaps more accessible, even with their gaze. Of course, this research is not the first to find that the sense of power affects how we respond to others. In 2014, researchers at the University of California, San Diego, looked at how perceptions of the status of others affected how participants reacted to their smiles. They found that those who felt they were in a higher position of power were more likely to smile back at people who seemed to have less power than they did, and vice versa. In addition, participants with a lesser sense of power smiled back at anyone who smiled at them, regardless of the status of the others. People who hold positions of power may feel that they are losing their prestige in the presence of others who may, quote-unquote, dethrone them or sideline them. Not smiling at those who were just as or more powerful can be a way to maintain their dominance, to maintain their position strictly, but when they smiled at people with less power, they did so because they probably did not see them as a threat. On the other hand, participants with a lower sense of prestige smiled at almost everyone, and this could indicate that these people do not care much to lose their status, as they probably do not have any. Or perhaps globally, a smile is a strategy used by such people to politely approach someone with more power than them. A smile can also be a way of communicating that does not pose a threat and thus does not deserve a stern look and harsh treatment of anyone. A smile has a key difference from an intense look. It is a sign of warmth, kindness, and acceptance, while the latter is most often a sign of domination or power. Either way, the approach means no sense of fear or fear. What we need to keep from this research as a conclusion is that how high or low we perceive our position in the social hierarchy can be an important explanation of why we act in specific ways in the presence of superior, equal, or inferior people to us in a matter of power. We try to notice those we avoid approaching or smiling, and where do you place yourself in a relationship with them? If you realize that you are often afraid of others, you may need to recall cases in which you felt really strong and see how this can help you have some more self-esteem and confidence in all areas of your life. This is from a Greek article translated from Diadrastika. So please tell me what you think. Yes, obviously, if you turn your gaze away, what is it that you fear from these people staring at you? Maybe you fear connection. I think that a lot of people can't look at people even when they're talking to them because they fear some kind of an emotional or a personal connection with someone. Anyway, please tell me what you think. Thank you. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.